I remember when the whole thing with Greta started was several years ago, and many people were saying that this is an anti-capitalist movement. This is more to do with socialism than environmentalism. And all of us were considered to be evil conspiracy theorists. It's like, oh my god, how can you say something like she is just a child? She is but a child. I love the mentality of a lot of leftists that believe a person that's 16 is like a child. It's a toddler, literally, right? If someone is 16 or 17 or a toddler, there is absolutely no difference. Even though when I was 16, I was doing debates, I was educated in trigonometry and hyper complex numbers. I mean, I was capable of doing all of these things and having my arguments being challenged. But in America, no, it is but a child. It is a toddler. So due to that, there was no criticism allowed towards Greta. It's like, you're an adult. Why do you criticize a child? What is wrong with you? However, the child was able to lecture world leaders, and she was hanging out with actors, was traveling the world, and anyone that called her a commie was an evil conspiracy theorist. And now apparently she says it is time to transform the West's oppressive and racist capitalist system. You know what? It will be time when she actually can have a debate. Like, I will listen to what this lady has to say when she actually sits down with a person that I wouldn't even say my side, but like a person that understands what capitalism is. You know, like a Milton Friedman type of individual, a Thomas Sowell, so we can have some diversity. And she manages to persuade me that, yeah, no, Thomas Sowell actually doesn't know shit. Milton Friedman has no idea, and maybe the Communist Party, the CCP, which pollutes far more than we ever do, maybe that party happens to know the best system, because I haven't seen Greta criticizing China ever. Would be also interesting to see who pays her. I'm not saying it's China, but where does this money come from? I mean, I can't afford to go around the world. I can't afford, like, you know, even if I was allowed to meet world leaders, it's like, who pays for the trips though, right? So, from a climate change campaigner to presenting a new far-left political agenda against racist capitalism. Do you guys remember that scandal she was in? Apparently, she took a picture with other children. I mean, children are the future, of course, especially when it comes to political activism. And she took a picture with many other kids, and there was like a black girl as well. Like, she was also part of this movement. And they zoomed in so that the black girl is removed from the. Do you guys remember that? I remember that. Yeah. So Greta Thunberg is the one that's going to now lecture me about racist capitalism. Well, what if you have like a country like Romania, by the way, where the ethnicity is overwhelmingly the same? Like, we do not have different races, right? We have different ethnicities here, but it's the same race from the American standard, I guess. Can we have capitalism? Because, like, can you actually be racist if there's no race to oppress, huh? Legit question. Curious, like, what university professor and lecturer Greta Thunberg would have to say about it. I love that, again, like, they have to mention the age. They have to carbon date her, the 19-year-old Swedish activist. Like, thank you for reminding me that I don't have to listen to her. By the way, like, this is the standard throughout the entire history of mankind, through most of its cultures around the world. The elderly are the wisest. I mean, this is true from ancient Greece. It's true from the way indigenous tribes in America used to live. Like, it's not about capitalism. But it makes sense, right? I mean, we have these sayings in Romania. The son doesn't get to lecture the father on how to have children. The egg doesn't teach the chicken. Like, when you grow up and you get to see things, you experience things, you become more wise, even if you're not more intelligent necessarily, right? Like, you don't read books, you're not an academic, but you have experienced enough in order to kind of get a vibe on things. So this is why adults are more informed. The only exception, though, is in Marxist ideology. Like, Marxist revolutionary ideology tries to push this bullshit that actually the new kids have somehow discovered a new way of life. Okay, like human beings, throughout the thousands of years that we lived on this planet, we were absolutely clueless. Like everything human beings have done was wrong until now. Because now the new generation of children is so much enlightened, and it's usually due to the fact that they come in from the public schools, that they've been indoctrinated into a new way of thinking. This has its roots, by the way, during Maoist China. And you can see it in the picture that I'm showing right here. Like, you get the lady that wants to take the child to church, which is backward, it's oppressive, it's disgusting, right? And the child wants to go to the public school that's paid by the government, the state, and they only have the interest to help the child learn and think for himself. Definitely not to indoctrinate him and make him sure that he only speaks the correct ideas through safe spaces and political correct. No, right? So like, this has been a thing. So every single time I see someone trying to stuff a child down my throat, as the Americans like to say, and by the way, I noticed that in America, as I mentioned before, there is no difference between a 16-year-old and a toddler. And I think that all the way up until a person is like 29, maybe even 30, they're still considered a child in the mind of the leftists on Twitter. So anyway, right, she thinks that the West is oppressive, capitalistic, colonialism, imperialism. So again, I want you to understand that these are the arguments, right? And then the left goes Pikachu face when they notice that, oh, on TikTok, people are sharing the letter. Or they're noticing, people aren't taking Israel's side. But like, look, if you're going to talk about colonialism and oppression, and this is the ideology that's being pushed down people's throats by the mainstream media, by the universities, by the public school system, with consent from the politicians in charge. And I love this, if economic growth is our priority. When I see a homeless person lecturing me about economic growth being bad, then I'll listen. I'm not going to listen to someone that lives in Sweden, in a country far more richer than mine, which can afford a yacht to travel the world, and tell me about economic growth. Like, she doesn't know poverty. I'm sorry, she doesn't know what it's like to live in a village in Romania. She has absolutely no clue. But it is what it is, right? I'll probably read the rest of this on my live stream. So if you guys haven't checked it out, I do have a live stream channel. There's a link into the pinned comment. If you go there, you can subscribe. And please do so, because by subscribing, you're helping me with the algorithm. So let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.